Welcome everybody to the NWO Show, your source for all things about MMOs. Today we're going to be talking about money. We're going to be talking about studios, we're going to be talking about appropriate staffing sizes, and where studio funding actually goes. And to compare these two things, we're going to use Star Citizen and EVE Online. These are obviously two very different companies. CIG, Cloud Imperium Games, and CCP Games are obviously in two very different life cycles. One of them is developing their first couple of games, Squadron 42 and of course Star Citizen, and CCP Games is developing, I would say EVE Online, but you'll pretty rapidly see that that's not as much of a case as you might think. They're developing a first-person shooter and possibly another game that has not been announced yet. But let's dive into this. This is basically going to be almost entirely about money. Money and staff size. And there's some troubling conclusions that are really unfortunate from this. So let's dive right in. For those that don't know, Pearl Abyss is a publicly traded company and thus has to release quarterly earnings, and they have to present this information publicly. So within that document, there's the Q4 2021 breakdown, which showcases basically the last year. Unfortunately, the units in this are in billion Korean won, which adds another little hurdle. And if you look at the Q1 for 2022, they actually messed up the decimal points. But for last year, the equivalent income for last year in US dollars is about $59 million. It's a little over that. That's a decent sum of money for an IP that is effectively 20 years old. It's impressive that the game has managed to last this long, and more power to them for continuing to be able to pull in money off of it. However, this leads us to talking about CIG Games, Cloud Imperium, where they are very public about every dollar that comes in. In fact, you can find out, at any specific time of day how much money they're bringing in, by day how much money they're bringing in, by week, and by month. And there are community members out there who actively track that on a monthly basis. So, to best showcase this, you can obviously see that over the years it's been relatively stable, and about 2019 things started to change. Significant content was being added, significant advancements were being seen. 2020, you saw all kinds of new stuff come in. 2021 was just a whole different level of quality for the game, and a whole lot more content was added to the game. Obviously, 2022 here is going to be massive. Like, that's going to blow away all of their funding, because you can already tell that June was an impressive month. May was an impressive month, but like the whole year is making way more money than they have in the past. But we're going to talk about 2021 as a year, as a comparison between the two. And the reason we're going to do this is that we have, as shown, the values for both easily accessible and understandable. So you can see that in 2021, CIG Games pulled in $86 million. This is obviously more than EVE Online, but that's not a bad thing. Now, when it comes to money, the next inevitable question is, what is it spent on? Is the money that you are putting into the game through pledges, through subscription fees, through, whatever, is it making it back into the game? And one of the easiest ways to determine that is, how much are the developers spending on people, on actual staff? Because obviously computers can't write code. you have, like obviously you have to buy equipment to write it on, but that's a relatively static cost, and that's more of a capital cost. It's less of a human capital. Human capital is where you're gonna get all of your actual work done. So earlier this year was FanFest for EVE Online. Hilmar got up on stage and announced proudly that CCP Games is now staffing basically the most amount of people that it has since 2016. And that this is a huge increase in the development, and they're really reinvesting in EVE Online. Now, you'll note that the numbers here are, I think this chart is deliberately built without lines to prevent an exact number from being drawn, but that's fine. Ballpark, 140 staff work on EVE Online. So, Cloud Imperium Games also, through their financial reporting unfortunately there isn't a newer one than this, but we have had additional reporting since. They're required to showcase these, they're actually not required because they're not a publicly traded company. However, because they are a crowd-funded company, people want to know where the money's going, what's being spent on what. Well, they're very open about this. How much money is being spent on salaries, how much money is being spent on publishing and marketing, contracted development costs, other development costs. CapEx, what didn't they spend that they were able to put towards future investments. Fundamentally they showcase this pretty well, but they also tell us exactly how many developers they have, and what people are working on. So you can see that in 2020 they had 512 staff. Newer information based on reports from developers on the forums is that this is closer to 600 now, or this is around 600 now, plus or minus a few, and they have a number of positions they're hiring for. In case people can't see this, I want to zoom in to showcase. Now, CIG, Cloud Imperium Games, is only making Star Citizen and Squadron 42. Squadron 42 has a lot of crossover assets that will work directly for Star Citizen, which means all of the development for it is really going to come back and assist Star Citizen in the end anyways. Why is this important? As we discussed, the finances. Star Citizen made $86 million last year. EVE Online, when you equate it out, made $59 million. Now, obviously these are two different budgets, but if you were to equalize it, if you were to equalize the two budgets, CCP Games should have a staff of 271 more than it currently has. So it should have a staff of 413. Instead, it has a staff of 140. Now, this is unfortunate news, but this showcases a larger issue with CCP, in my opinion. Now, CCP Games is of course developing other games. They're looking to the future. They're looking to develop a new first-person shooter. They've got potentially another unannounced game that they're working on in the background. But the reality is, EVE Online is not their priority based on staffing, based on where the money is going. It has not, and at least as far back as their charts go, for 2016, where they said they had just over 80 staff working on it, and the game was making more money back then, it has not been a significant effort for them. That's of course, pre-pandemic. by several years, and they held steady at 88, around 80 staff. So really, what this comes out to say is that the development was already more than paid for EVE Online. The excess money was flooding over into other projects for many years. You know, you look at Eve Valkyrie, you look at Gunjack, you look at any of these other games that they've developed. You know, they were good games. However, they really only broke even with their development costs. They never really made an excess profit. One of the challenges here is discussing this in true context. Understanding that they're not spending the money on EVE Online, and then turning around and also saying, by the way, your subscription price is going up because we need the money to develop EVE Online. No, you don't. You have plenty of money. If your competitor, who has openly been called a scam for Star Citizen, you know, by many people is considered a scam, if they can afford to hire 600 developers and the best you can do is 140 with a similar budget, let's be real, you're fleecing your community for extra cash at that point. You didn't have a cash flow problem. You know, I don't want to piss off the EVE Online community, but unfortunately, like, the numbers here don't lie. You know, it is what it is. I'm very interested to see what both the Star Citizen community and the EVE Online community think about these numbers, and you know, what direction do you think things are going? If you're interested, EVE Online unfortunately doesn't have a referral code, so there's nothing I can do on that front. But if you're interested in trying Star Citizen, our referral code is up on the screen now. It's also below if you want to copy it from there. Feel free to try it. If you want to use the if you use our link, you get a little extra starting cash. And yeah. So with that, I want to thank everybody for listening to my long rant about finances. And I hope everybody learned something. And we will see you for future episodes. For those that don't know, every week, Wednesday at about 6 o'clock Eastern Time, we have a live show on Twitch. So feel free to come follow us there. It's twitch.tv/New World Order Show. We're more than happy to have you guys come chat. We do talk consistently about New World, Lost Ark, and Star Citizen on the show, and occasionally we've been known to also cover online topics as they come up. So, with that, thank you all, and we'll see you in another video.